Welcome to the Lead with Your Soul podcast. I'm Michelle Wright, your host and fellow traveler on this journey of self-discovery. This podcast is designed for women navigating life transitions and yearning to embrace their true selves. I'll be sharing my personal journey from navigating the complexities of divorce and blending families to reshaping my career to something that resonates with my soul. With 3 decades as a teacher and mentor, I'm here to share insights, heartfelt stories, and practical strategies. Together, we'll explore how to cultivate self-love and create the vibrant, fulfilling life you deserve. Join me each week as we dive deep into the art of living authentically. Welcome to the Lead with Your Soul podcast. I'm Michelle Wright, your host, and I'm so glad you're here. Today is a little bit about me and talking about what my work is and why. I've had different people reach out and just wonder, why, Michelle, are you doing this? And they might be asking that because they've worked with me in my career, they've been at different parts with me in my life, or they're brand new. And this is a good question. Why do we do what we do? First of all, I'm in this privileged opportunity to really look at how I can serve the world, how I can come and help. And as I was searching and digging deeper into that, who is it that I wanted to help? Who is it that I wanted to work with? I knew it was women in big life transitions. And the reason is because those are the moments in my own life where I struggled. I found the greatest insight. And when I worked through them, I came to a deeper sense of who I was and into becoming more aligned with the life that I wanted to live. And my hope in my work is that I can help someone journey that. Because when I reflect on those journeys, though those are true, all of those aspects are very true. It was some of the darkest moments and the most isolating moments that I had in my life. I think programming, I'm going to call that programming, expectations from the world, and things weren't going according to plan, those expectations. Those kind of programs that we grow up with, what women should do, what you should do in the different roles that we have in our lives. It wasn't always aligning with what my heart and my soul was asking me to do. And I had to shift in that thinking. And it was really hard. I didn't know how to ask. And I did go to therapy. And I think therapy is an important aspect. I still access therapy because it's a very specific tool. And coaching is also a very specific tool. Therapy will look more at your family dynamics. It looks more of your historical part of you and digs deeper into those patterns. Where coaching is really, it will acknowledge that, and there are work you can do with that. Coaching is really focused on understanding you in the now and understanding you in the future that you want to create. And that's the work that I'm really excited about being in. I always have this image of myself knowing that I had to make changes. And it was like taking a leap off a cliff, off an airplane, and you're just floating or sinking down into the atmosphere. And my work is really about grabbing a hold of someone's hand, holding that sacred space, offering a parachute so that the fall isn't so alone, and offering guidance and a mirror to just get out of the free fall so that you can just float for a while and be curious and heal and release and let yourself down gently. I know when I look at my big life transitions, There's different areas that I wish that I had some support in and that now I'm able to offer support. One of those, when I just look at the type of transitions, it can be career changes, moving changes. It can be divorce, blending, empty nesting, how to work with adult children, how to work with your family, and even aging parents. All of these pieces are part of our life as women, as humans. And there's different parts. There's the beginning parts when we know that we're called for a change. We know that things aren't working well and we have to shift. We have to realign for whatever reason. And then there's being in the in between, that liminal space of actual change. And there's coming out of that change and recognizing what you want to create with intention and alignment for your own joy and happiness. And I work with women in all of those points because I've been in all of these different situations and I've had a lot of time to reflect in those points and get coaching myself. So I've been in these situations, I've had therapy, and I've taken the long route, which, though you still get there, was probably a little bit more painful than I needed to be in. So I'm looking to help women embrace their journey, their lives, their souls, and listen to them and learn to trust them, and learn to trust from their soul contracts and the alignment of the universe that's calling them to different trajectories, different paths that you could take, but there's no must. And my work, I find, is a sacred work. I find as women, we have a real hard time being with ourselves. At least that's what I have found. I know when I call about programming or how I was raised. As a woman who was raised to be nurturing, to be giving, to be attentive to those around you, and to be generous of spirit and take care of people. And many women that I speak with, when I ask them, you know exactly what everyone in your beautiful circle that you serve, that you live with, you know their favorite likes, their favorite food, what makes them happy, what triggers them. You knew all of those pieces. You were really in tune with them. You understand them. And they're like, yeah, I do. And when we look at ourselves, we don't have that same understanding. Ingrained in us, programmed in us, taught to us is this sense that it's really self-serving to take care of ourselves, that we don't have time. There's no time for ourselves. There's time for everybody else and all the jobs that we have. And we do talk about it. And I've worked with women in teaching most of my life. So we do talk about, we recognize the need for that oxygen mask that comes down. And we say those lines. We have to put the oxygen mask on ourselves first before we can help anyone else. And we understand it at a cerebral thinking level. And we're like, yes, that makes complete sense. But we have a hard time doing it in real life. It's just natural to ignore our own bodies, our own intuition, our own feeling, our own needs, because the needs of others come first. So part of my work is helping us just even first listen to the whispers of our soul and begin to answer them, and answer them without regret, answer them without feeling bad, and being attentive to what we need to do. And I have found my path is a very spiritual path. And I found that path by listening and learning to be in my body and listen to my own body, my own intuition, my own energy, and explore that world of energy, that world of channeling, that world of getting messages from the universe around us. And I've learned to explore through oracle cards and tarot cards and use them as a way of personal development. Just asking me questions, just asking me to wonder or to imagine or to change my thinking in a different way. And the spiritual path, very specifically focused on me, has helped me change. And I come from a strong Judeo-Christian background, being part of a church, being part of a belief system. And in that system, it's really focused on others and not self. And in fact, focusing on self is considered at times even a sin. You're just being self-serving. Really, you need to look at the rest of the world. And since it was Christian, Christ is on the cross, and that's what you need to do is if you're not hurting that bad, then you're actually not getting there. And so it's recovering from some of those things and imagining a different understanding. In the past, I've talked about that idea of the elephant of 5 monks. And so my spiritual journey has really been exploring, wondering the different parts of the elephant from those 5 blind monks and explaining it. And there are aspects of my spirituality that comes from a close connection in God through Judeo-Christian religion that I find beautiful and helpful. And so there's aspects that I keep, aspects that I really enjoy and help me. Some of them is that deep sense of reverence, that sense of ritual, that sense of prayer and oneness with God. And now how it's changed is that my sense of God is not just that one kind of imagined from that part of the elephant from a Judeo-Christian perspective. Instead, what I've done is I've allowed myself to open up to different understandings from Buddha, from Muslim, from Hindu. So just starting to listen to different connections. I've started to look at different people like Carolyn Meese, Kyle Gray, Colette Baron Reed, take those courses and start to listen to their part of the elephant. And some of the things that are coming that's a truth for me right now, I don't know if it's a capital T truth, it's just a truth that I'm starting to understand, is that suffering is part of life because you have to have duality. You cannot have light without dark. This is the human experience, and this is why our souls want to be here right now at this time. And so you can't escape it. That's a truth that I am beginning to understand. And now I'm also starting to be curious, okay, if that duality is important, what are the pearls of wisdom that I can take from some of these experiences and that I can grow from and I can expand? And as a teacher, as a counselor, as a principal, I always used to say, when I look back on my life, it's from the darkest times that I have the most wisdom. And yet I didn't want dark times, so it didn't really make sense. So if it's our darkest times that we get our wisdom, why do we try to avoid it so much? I know, because it's so much pain. So I'm trying to shift, and I'm telling you I'm in the process of being in this. I'm shifting how I'm thinking about that. So when difficult times are coming, I'm asking myself to be curious, because this is a time to expand. This is a time to explore. This is a time to become more in alignment, because there's a shifting, an awakening, a deeper understanding that is being offered through that. And as I've come to understand that, my goal is that I want to work with women to help them navigate that themselves, that perhaps different understanding, a different truth for them, their own selves, questions that would get them to think about the shoulds, the programming, the way things have to be in their own lives, and just begin to imagine differently. And as we look at ourselves, it is not narcissistic. If we're exploring who we are as a soul, who we are divinely created, which I believe we are, in this sense to love and to experience this world. And there's some beautiful modalities that help us do that. And I find astrology is one of them. You can see yourselves in the different aspects of astrology. And I've loved exploring who I am and help other women explore who they are through astrology and the transits that go on for the whole collective, and we experience them with our own little roadmap. Another modality is human design. And human design is a different way of looking at who we are. Once again, an archetype of who we are. And we start to understand our strengths. And that's what I've loved, that this is my strength. And then these are some of the areas that I'm challenged in. And more, the language that's coming to me and the deeper understanding is that as far as I want to go out and do different things, I need to come closer in this inner work of deep love, compassion, and forgiveness, and look at myself in the mirror and love exactly who I am. And so these modalities help me. Carolyn Meese, she uses her archetypes. She has different archetypes and looking at what is the archetype. She uses 12 and really looking at those. And we all share the 4. I've talked about those. And I have found looking at my life through those archetypes also helps. It's a journey within, and it's a journey of discovery. It's a journey of love. And it's a journey to wholeness and alignment, inspiration, authenticity, and joy, and peace. These are some of the things that I have found. So when I work with women, I invite them to explore some of these different aspects, some of these different modalities, figuring out for themselves where they find some intersections that they find curiosity, joy, peace, love, compassion. And that's my work. That's what I enjoy doing. And I can see using it at different pieces. For me, I knew in marriages and I knew in careers that I needed to make shifts a year ahead. We're talking 12 plus months, if not even more. I knew I needed to make the changes. I was absolutely terrified because I had all these shoulds. I had all these, but I made these commitments. This is what I've chosen to do. Can't you look at my path? This is the next logical step. I need to do this. I need to stay. And yet, my heart, my soul was crying out. It can look a lot like depression. It can look like melancholy, despondence. At times, it looked like anger, frustration, judgment, being critical of other people and myself. And whenever I got into that energy, I recognize now, looking back, that I had some choices to do different things. And it's in this space, I'm also looking to help women develop some skills and journey with them to ask those questions once again, using these different modalities. Start to wonder, start to be quiet and listen and have the courage to take some steps and make some changes in their life that might not be in the same way that they have before. And so then that means, what do you do when you're absolutely terrified? You have to make a change. And our beautiful mind, our beautiful body is set up to keep us safe. And it's set up from evolution to keep us safe from the world, from ferocious lions, from bears that are coming in. Like, it is set up to do that, so that when we look at a life-threatening event coming into our lives, we know how to act. And then we might run, we might hide, take flight, fight, fawn, we might just curl up. Functional, meaning that you're living your life, but you're actually not present. You're actually terrified. And so we respond those ways. And so it's understanding our nervous system, understanding how we respond, and now exploring this ego mind. Because the truth of it is, when I did my live last week, I was not going to die if I did my live or not did my live. And I have to tell you that my entire body was shaken like a leaf, telling me death is imminent around the corner. If you push the live button, death is imminent. Yes, I had a powerful body screaming experience. And you just have to learn beautiful somatic exercises. For me, it's breathing. For me, it's just calming. And I just have to then say WTF and push the button, because sometimes that's what you have to do. I've had to do that in my career. I've had to do that in my marriage. I had to do that in my divorces. I knew I came to those breaking points. And even though my body was shouting at me, I knew. And so then that's the other piece. How did I know? I have been gifted with this deep connection with spirit and connection with self that allows me to know, allows me to just know where I need to go when I listen. So that's what I'm talking about, is I'm not always listening. When I calm that ego mind and I listen, I don't always know where I'm going. I just know that I have to take this next leap. And that's what I want to do with the women I work with, is to help them recognize that A, we can calm together, and I can help them take that next leap. We don't get to know in life the whole path, because wouldn't that be sad? And the truth of it is, our life path can be so different. We can have a million different choices, and there's no one right way. There's no one right life path. If we choose and we made mistakes, just like in the beginning of this, we learn so much pearls of wisdom of who we are. So that's where these lines come from, and just this wiseness comes in, because it's a life lived. And if we make choices that bring us more in alignment, we feel it in our heart and our soul. So I always think of these little, like, stepping stones as you cross a river or cross a lake. And even sometimes if you've ever been to a pool, they have them, and you just step on either side is the water, and you step from one to the other. And in this, I imagine we can't see around the corner yet. So we only actually know our next step. And once we get to that step, we're going to figure out the next one. And lots of times it's that same process, because we have to go through the programming, we have to go through our ego mind, we have to go through our body going, oh my goodness, there's water rushing around you. You are dying. And yet you're not dying. Everything is going to be okay. And it allows you to get to the next step. And my work, my sacred work, is to hold that space for someone, to breathe, to wonder, to cry, to be vulnerable, to dream, to imagine. And I encourage them. And I help them wonder about where they can go and what they can do and what they could experience, what could be around the corner. My work is also in those moments when you've made big shifts. So you've taken that choice and you've made those big shifts. And I call them the Goop moments. And this is why I call them the Goop moments, is because I imagine the caterpillar going into the chrysalis. And we know we're in the chrysalis and there's a butterfly coming. And in the chrysalis, as you change from a caterpillar to a butterfly, you are Goop. Goop is mushy, formless. And in these big life transitional moments, in these liminal spaces, that's what it feels like. You can't go back and you don't know what for it is. You're in the darkness and your mind is shouting at you, or you're curled up in a ball, terrified. Might be anger, something I have to work with for some people. So I'm a fighter. Some people, they might be running and literally running. So it's always finding what's happening in this darkness. And my work as a coach is to first create that space where you can be in the darkness. And then you can begin to wonder and you can begin to just breathe and listen to what has been in the past. What do you need to let go of from the caterpillar? What do you need to release? What is the wisdom? And I say this, what do you need to release? But it's not with judgment and criticism. And that's a huge piece. It's with honor to say, you know what? I chose that. Was it the best? No, but this is the pearl of wisdom that I have, that I can share, that I come away with, the experience that I do know. And so in that Goop, it's just really helping you with love, honor, compassion to get the pearls of wisdom from your past, from the caterpillar life in that Goop. And then it's to begin in this now to just breathe and be present, because it's in the now that we can take these pearls of wisdom, we can take our thinking, and we can begin to imagine what will be in the future. Begin to imagine where we want to be. And I find here is that we need to be absolutely crazy, audacious, and magical thinking. Have no restraints. Because actually, when we think about a future, we tend to have, but this isn't realistic. This couldn't happen. This could never happen. This could not. And so we put all of the restrictions, the shoulds, the programming starts to come back in the Goop. So my work with someone is to really get them to not put those restrictions in, not bind themselves up with fear, judgment, criticisms, programming, and to just imagine a future or different futures that you could possibly move towards. And in my expanded spirituality, looking at the elephant from different perspectives, it is really looking that we are meant to have this crazy, amazing life. Doesn't mean that it's not going to be without hurt, but the amazingness is to be curious about the experiences that can come. So what are ones that you would like to come? What are ones that you would like to have? Is it a new relationship? Is it a new career? Is it a new business? Is it children? Is it grandchildren? There's just so many things that a person could do and so many different experiences they could have. And so it's that absolute magical thinking in the goop, because you're in the goop, that's the now, you create those possibilities. And that's what I'm helping them imagine. And then the work is, because you're always in the now, the truth of it is we're always in the now. Cannot go back and change the past. We can only gather our wisdom from it with love, compassion, and forgiveness and non-judgment. And in the now, we can only imagine a future. And the power is in imagining this future, and that's that work of manifestation. And it's imagining that future. What does it look like, sound like, feel like? And then coming back in the now, because what is that magical thread that brings you there? How do you begin to get there? How do you begin to take that first leap to that first stone? And just sometimes jumping off and holding your breath while you do it. And that's my job. My job as a coach is to help you imagine and have different ways that you can do that, different conversations that you can do that, different activities that you can do that in. And then my job as a coach is to celebrate when you take the leap. And this is the sacred work that I am loving to do right now. Loving to work with women who are rediscovering themselves, who are listening to their souls. I love sharing the weirdness, the woo-woo, as we pull cards and say, you can't make this shit up. You just can't. You just can't. Or when people talk about the messages that they get from loved ones or from their spirit team, their guides, however you want to call them, saints, angels, everybody, remember that elephant? Everybody has a different way of looking at it. It is that divine connection. And we get signs and symbols and synchronicities that help guide us on our way and help us know that we are lovingly cradled and held as we sob, as we transform, as we fly like a butterfly at points of it. They're with us. And a deep understanding, too, is that they are not here to judge us. There is not one right way. I think that's been my biggest aha, is that, oh, you mean that this failure wasn't because I did it wrong, that I didn't find the one right way to live my life? And the biggest message I get is, oh my gosh, no, Michelle, that's not the way this is supposed to work. The way it's supposed to work is that you have seasons in your life, and in those seasons, in those moments, you're going to be choosing that because that's your next right move. And then there's other right moves. So that means you're going to have to shift, because we don't like change as humans. We don't like change at all. But you need to shift. You need to move. You need to have different things happen. So these big transitions also come from you didn't move. So we just had to bring down the tower. So the tower card in tarot is about everything tumbling down. And we had to tumble it down. Everything in your life just come crashing down. So you could really figure out what was important to you and what you want to move forward with. And then there's that duality of how do I, because I want a new life, but how do I not have that same life and I want a new life? And there's the duality of hope and fear and having all of these experiences and not regretting them, instead embracing them. In so many roundabout ways, this is my work and how I've been expressing it to you. And you might find yourself on any part of that crazy web that we weave, that we call our lives. And that's what I do, is I help you figure out where you are on the web. And I help you listen to the vibrations of this web and the different points that are calling you. And I help you have the courage to take the leap to the next intersection. And I help you enjoy the journey and cheer you on and hold you. So that's what I do. This is my work. And it's so beautiful. It's beautiful because I have been there, I am there, and I'm going to be there because I'm this human being just like you, doing the work, living the life, continuing going through my seasons and my intersections. And depending on where you are, I'm just helping you to the next level, the next place. And I do find this work sacred because I find you sacred. I find our journeys sacred. I find women sacred. And I find uncovering my own divine feminine and coming into this beautiful balance within myself for my divine masculine and divine feminine, not one being over the other, but just this beautiful place of recognizing duality in my life has been such a journey that I want to do that with other women. It has been a pleasure connecting with you. It has been a pleasure telling my story. If you want to work with me, just come to michellewright.co and you can see different ways that you can. If you want to connect with me and just tell me your story, send me a DM. I loved being here with you. I love sharing my story, and I look forward to hearing yours. Until next time, keep leading with your soul.
That wraps up another episode of the Lead with Your Soul podcast. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me. As you navigate your own life transitions, remember to be gentle with yourself and embrace the journey. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe and share it with others who might benefit. Join me next week for more insights and inspiration. Until next time, keep leading with your soul.